I'll find you, and I will kill you!
Xylo? Xylo!
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed...
What's good, anime enthusiasts? Welcome to another episode of Sentenced to Be a Hero. And as I said before, this episode and the next is going to do some heavy lifting after all of the action that we received in episode 1. And this episode does help build the world and give some answers to some of the questions that we have, but it really gives us even more questions to talk about. To put it shortly, this world is open-ended, extremely open-ended, that you can think and possibly do anything. Like, I even just now before I started recording was thinking about how resurrection works, and to talk about a little bit before I talk about it at the end. Can't you just revive anybody, not just the heroes, and create and just have like infinite life? Because resurrection seems commonplace if the heroes are going to be kept being revived and then putting back into their bodies or another body. And that's also another theory I have about that after meeting another character that we are introduced to in this episode. And we also get to learn more about these sacred seals and how they originate, but still it's very vague and open-ended. There's too much that they leave out that we're just sort of guessing and theorizing until sometime in another episode that a character can explain more, or we get another action sequence that helps tell how it works or how it functions. And of course, we get the return of Captain Kivia, which is good. I like her character and dynamic and how she clashes with Xylo. We see the triangle, or I should say the philosophy or the ideals that people have in this world, where you have the church and then you have people like Captain Kivia who are with the church but also questioning things, and then you have people like Xylo where they don't trust the church. They mainly are there they are the quote-unquote good guys, if that makes sense. And church is evil, heroes are good, even though they are deemed as evil. And we have Kivia in the camp who are questioning things, but they're still like in line with the church because they haven't been done wrong yet, nor can they really say anything. They're basically trapped, or they're being fed fake propaganda by the church / temple, however you want to call it. Temple, church, interchangeable for this anime until they really hammer in something concrete. But let's get into it. Like I said, several questions are being raised, and there are a few nuggets of environmental storytelling, which I really like. So, episode begins with Xylo waking up from the flashback dream that he had last episode, to where we know about his charge of how he mercy killed Servana, his previous goddess that he made pact with. And he's woken up by Territa because Venetum is looking for Xylo. And Xylo's like saying, hey Territa, just go, leave, get out of here. Don't you already know who I am? Don't you know why? Don't you know my past? Like, why are you still here? And Territa's like dead set on staying with Xylo because I am your knight, or you are my knight, and I will not leave by your side. It's cute. That pure innocence / knightly attire that medieval times have, like that unbridled trust. And Venetum calls Xylo on the seal mark radio, just blasting it everywhere. And Venetum says, yo, we got a new mission. After that, we just get a scene of them walking to their next destination. And this is one of those big environmental storytelling moments. So we see a shot to where there is a tank in the snow. Now, it looks too small to be an actual like realized tank. It looks like a model tank. But if we are to believe that is a model tank, then we can theorize and guess that this tank is from the past. And looking back at episode 1, we have most likely regressed from a modern technology where we had firearms and big, huge tanks. And now we're reduced to, using something else more magic tech like with magic, but still on the futuristic side. So we're, switching things, which is neat. Which will also, I'm thinking, signifies that a certain character that we'll eventually get to will make one of these tanks. So we get a scene cut to Kivia, where she's receiving her next orders from a priest / handler. She is to the transport goddess mission is suspended, and she is to go clear the Zenwan Gan tunnels. And the handler starts explaining about the small origins of the Demon Blight. So 20 years ago, the Fourth War of Subjugation began with the appearance of Demon Blight number 1, the Serpent. Forests have been corrupted, and the soul continues to degrade. And for those 20 years, humanity lost half of its habitable land. So, alright. This is what we experienced in episode 1 is nothing new. Because for over 20 years, we had at least 49 demon lords. And I don't know if maybe Demon Lord number 1, the Serpent, is still alive. Maybe they already defeated it, and more Demon Lords have came after. Who really knows? It's still open-ended. But the handler says, yo, we sent the hero unit to Zenwan Gan in here to assist them. And Kivia heads out, and then the handler tells her to, hey, send my regards to High Priest Marlin if he's around. Cool. Back to the heroes. They're resting at the camp, camping down. We learn that Dada is in a repair shot since the last big battle, since he took some heavy damage. And now we start to get introduced to these 2 new heroes that were teased at while Xylo and Terrorita were at their previous camp. So, first one we get is Norgal. This guy is being called Your Majesty by the other heroes. He's a guy who wholeheartedly believes that he is the king of the Federated Kingdom. For some odd reason, one way or another, he committed a large-scale terrorist attack against his quote-unquote usurpers and was sentenced because of that. Okay. He is an eccentric character and he's nice. And we'll talk more about him later. Right now, the most interesting character that I think out of all the heroes, even Xylo, is Tatsuya. And he's sitting on the stump / rock with a huge axe, and he looks dead to the world. Man is a zombie, big wide eyes. And while his crime is unknown to Xylo, he had the longest tenure inside this hero unit. And we can tell because he's died one too many times because of his zombie-like appearance. So now this is one of those answers that we get. What happens when a hero dies one too many times and gets resurrected one too many times? We have Tatsuya. This makes sense. And we'll get to it later. I won't talk about it in the fight scenes and whatnot. But we can tell that Tatsuya still has coherency in his mind. He knows his allies, he knows his friends, and he can still hear verbal commands. Sometimes he'll, go berserk a little bit, but it's still controlled. He still has a sense about him. He's not dead to the world yet. He's not mindless, even though he does give off that appearance. He's still coherent, for lack of, a better explanation. But that raises some other questions, which I will ask at the end. There won't be any answers for it, but it's something to think about. After that, time skips and we actually do reach a town where the Zenwan tunnels are. And the townsfolk, they're like moving away. They aren't too keen on seeing the heroes. And the town isn't in that too good of shape to begin with. There's also this side conversation that's happening between what looks like official looking people, possibly from the army, possibly from the temple/church, and the townsfolk. And through their dialogue, you can see, and even Venetum says that it's odd that the town hasn't been evacuated yet because the tunnels are infected by the fairies, by the demon blight. Why hasn't the town been evacuated yet? And the army guy is like, well, the army's like giving us orders, so the townsfolk kind of stuck here. That's kind of odd if you want to preserve as much of humanity as possible, right, church? Questions. And even Venom doesn't know what the holdup is. Next scene we get is Xylo goes to a shop and he's trying to get some digging tools. And the shopkeeper is, of course, not afraid, but more shocked to see the heroes happen. When Xylo tells the shopkeeper what he needs, the shopkeeper just says, why bother? It's far too late. Why didn't you come sooner? And there's also the scene where she rubs her hand over some tools, which I'm guessing is hinting at her husband is also a miner who hasn't come home yet. He's gone, most likely dead, or he's probably been dead beforehand and has been confirmed by other people. You know, what can you do? And then afterwards, Xylo is stopped by a child in the streets, and the child is helpful. She points him in the direction on the tunnels, and then she also asks, will my dad come back? He said he's supposed to come back. And he's like slightly yelling at him, and Xylo, he doesn't say much to her as he like moves away, and he hates seeing that. And even though Xylo is such, the way Xylo acts is slightly odd, but it makes sense. Even though he tries to put on a big tough front and edgy attitude, he's nice, you know, beneath him, and like on the inside. Even though he says like, I don't want to save you civilians. No, you do, dude. That's what we were doing beforehand. There's no way that you think this way. In case in point, he's a tsundere. But as we're getting closer to the tunnels, Venom begins to give a little lore / backstory on the tunnels themselves. These tunnels produce good quality iron that's used in the sacred seals as a catalyst. And a lot of money has been poured into the tunnels by the Verkle Development Corporation, the military. And even Venom says like it's ironic that the tunnels got ferried in the first place, which goes back into the fact that this town hasn't been evacuated. These tunnels have good quality resources that's supposed to be used for the protection of the town and the military, and even using armaments for the military and the church itself. Why let it get to this point? Something's going on here. And while on the way, we get to learn what a sacred seal is. By Xylo, according to the temple/church, they're just wisdom bestowed on the people by the gods. And Venom says that Norgal is a genius and he can do it by himself when it usually takes several people. And then Norgal says that the sacred seal is inscribed on an object, which is why you see all of those lines on certain objects and even on Xylo. And it's powered by the light of the sun, and it's invoked by a person's life force and will. Okay? There's no mana system. It's just, I will put on these symbols / lines, and then by the user, it happens. It's I'm guessing it's similar to rune crafting, or what's it called? Or rune carving, similar to what dwarves use in other certain fantasy settings. And Venom continues. A month ago, some of the miners got turned into fairies, and they began to attack others. And we have the presence of another demon lord in these mines. Demon Lord number 51, Lotus. And the hero unit's mission is to dig out a direct route for the holy units to attack. Okay? Afterwards, we get in, we do some digging, we do some dialogue between the characters, and Kivia shows up along with the Holy Knights. And both sides start to converse, and they go back and forth about their predicaments, conditions, and what happened in the previous big battle. But the important thing is that Xylo points out that this is sort of a pointless mission at face value. Since the mind is compromised, most of the time the temple or the military would just, let the minds be and pass over and let it go. And he asked Kivia and the other knights, hey, is there anything that you're after? Are you planning something? Are you planning to use Terrorita for something? Which is why that you're here and we are here. And Kivia doesn't say anything, but just steps away. Kivia's like, stop wasting time with conspiracy theories and just get on with your mission. Of course, everybody knows, or at least both sides kind of get the feeling something fishy is going on, but we don't know any answers. So they dig through. We get a small little skirmish with some fairy bugs. We get to see Tatsuya in action, and Xylo does some stuff as well. Afterwards, we get to another area, and the hero unit begins construction on a forward base for the Holy Knights. And these next few scenes is a lot of character dialogue between the heroes and Terrorita. Most of it is Xylo and Terrorita, them having moments between each other. Terrorita wanting to help like the little kid, trying to be as helpful as possible, just wanting to contribute. And Xylo, for the most part, is trying to say, no, I don't want to waste your stamina. Just, stay over there. And eventually he does let her help. And yeah, it's cute. And we get a comedy scene with Norgal as he creates this supply chest that turns into a monstrosity of a trap and very deadly. And I just want to point this scene out because he can do this, and the intricacies and the expert skills that he used to do this, he may be able to make that tank that we saw. I'm just saying, that's my shot in the dark. Norgal's gonna make a tank or some kind of mobile fortress for us to use against the fairies / demons. After that, we get even more scenes with Xylo and Terrorita. And at this point, I have to ask, what really is Terrorita? What is this? Alright, so we know that Terrorita is a goddess. A goddess is this entity, human being, thing, creation that is a weapon of mass destruction. And why I paused and gave out those descriptors is because we don't really know if Terrorita is human or not. We don't know if it's some android creation or magical construct being that is able to have all of these powers. Does she have seals on her? Yes, they're inscribed on her. You can see it in some screenshots of her clothing, but we don't know to what extent. If she is the goddess of swords and is able to summon millions of swords, the temple has done some amount of experimentation with these sacred seals to, I don't know, these creations, these goddesses. Also, we don't know if it's a creation or if it's like a child taken from a family and then sealed up to the 9 to be this all-powerful weapon of mass destruction, right? And we don't know if Terrorita is the prime example of their personalities. We don't know if they're so childlike that they want head pats, that they want to help out and contribute. We don't exactly know how Servana acts because we never had a flashback scene with her. We just saw that, still images, and Servana didn't really talk. We also don't. There's questions, okay? I have questions, and I would like answers to them, but it's all I got. It's just questions. But getting back into it, we get interrupted during our rest. We get a transmission on this little transmitter thing. Someone needs help, and we see a skirmish happening where the Holy Knights are struggling against buried miners, and these miners are grotesque. They got the colorful pus like things, and it's a fight and struggle between the both of them. The hero unit comes in, and both the heroes and the knights work together to defeat the fairy miners, and the battle ends. Cool. The Holy Knights take heavy losses. There's not too many of them left. Somehow a miner lived throughout all of it, because in the corner behind some boxes, he's there in the fetal position, covered. Okay. I, I I have questions, but I guess we'll let that one slide. And even Captain Kivia says there's a few more dozen miners that are still trapped down there. And so now it's a situation of whether or not that we can go get them, but we can't really get them because Kivia says that their mission is to, well, saving the miners is not part of their mission. But she does ask Zyla, hey, in a hypothetical situation, how much would we lose if we tried to attempt to save all these miners? And Zylo gives his answer, but then this priest / official rolls up. You're like, hey, why are you asking that hero for an opinion? We are going to use these scorched earth seals to close off these tunnels. That's it. And Norgal gets mad because we're not going to be helping out these miners. We're not helping out his subjects. And we get a little bit of glaze on the priest about Norgal. Seems that this Norgal was the last disciple of Sage Hordux and the pride of the academy. Okay, Norgal's not just some random genius. He is the genius. But still, we haven't seen the Sage yet. We haven't seen the academy, so we don't know what scale it is. But hey, Norgal is, the cream of the crop. And while this bickering is going on, Zylo takes one look at Terrorita, and then he sees the child in Terrorita, the child being from the town. And Zylo steps forward and says, all right, only us heroes, we're going in to save the miners. You knights, stay back. Y'all do what you need to do. Also, Terrorita, you're staying behind. Episode ends. So, questions upon questions upon questions. I just want to leave with these a couple questions that I've been thinking about while watching this and thinking. Because resurrection seems so apparent, how many more heroes are there? Because they keep saying hero unit as in one. We don't know if the temples has any other hero units. Of course, when you see promotional covers of an art of the anime, you do see that there's more characters. So yeah, there's more heroes on the way, but we don't know if there's any other nameless heroes / nameless hero units that are in the world to make it, bigger. Also, we don't know how many mindless heroes that the temple has, because we see Tatsuya, he is on that. He's possibly threading the line that he just needs a few more, and he's just, able to be commanded by the temple and not really care whose side he's on in that regards. And of course, we don't know the scale of if a hero does get put back into a body, what type of body can they be put back in? Is it a humanoid body? Can it be put into an animal? Can it put inside a robot, an automaton? Can we put the soul into a Gundam? Right? Say this to be a Gundam if you want to go like that, right? What's the limitations on that? Also, what's the limitations on the sacred seals? What do they really do? I mean, yeah, they can do literally anything, but what's the limitations? We see scenes of Norgal etching in these lines, and he did it on those pickaxes. Those pickaxes aren't really doing anything, but I'm guessing he's enhancing those pickaxes to have more oomph behind them, or to be extremely durable to the point where they don't break. Nothing is really explained. We just either A, have to assume that what our headcanon is, or B, we just have to accept the fact that, okay, these seals just do what the characters need to do, right? It's not muddy. It's just open-ended. We don't know the limitations. We don't know the floor or the ceiling of everything. It's just but that's all really that I can think of as far as questions are concerned. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna think of more as these shower thoughts, these random thoughts, and I'm What more? What more? But only another episode can answer these questions, and if they decide to focus on them or not. But let me know what y'all think about this episode and this series so far in general in the comments below. Do y'all have any questions? Do y'all have any theories as to what's going on? I have way too many, and I'm probably gonna get more as the series goes on. But hey, still, as I said before in my previous review, I'm hooked. I'm not sold yet, and I'm not saying the anime's bad or anything. It's watchable. It's nice. It's cool. I'm enjoying myself. It's just I'm not all the way there. You know, I'm not fanboying or anything. I'm tempered. I'm chill. I'm sitting. I'm like the people at the movies. I'm just sitting in the back. I got my feet up. I'm leaning back. I'm chill. I'm watching. I'm having a good time. That's it. You know, with nothing else. I hope all of you have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. I hope your day is just a little bit better than it already is. With that, we'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.